Welcome everyone to
The
the
Telos
very first, the
Buzz.
Telos Buzz. Here we are, coming to you live from Toronto, Canada. It is the Telos Buzz. Everyone go out, grab your coffee like Liam and I have done.
We've got our penguin mugs here. How's it going, Thomas?
Great, it's going great, Liam.
You know-
Matching penguin mugs here today.
You'd think we had planned this, our first Telos Buzz, being together, but it just so happened to work out that way. That I was in Toronto, we're doing some work right now, and it lined up perfectly. So here we are. Don't expect us to always do these together, since we're usually many miles apart. But I think this is the perfect way to kick off what's going to be a really fun segment as for Telos Culture.
Most definitely, yeah. It's I know it's very rare that you're up here in Toronto. You're usually out in the French Canadian corner of Canada.
Yeah, oui. Thanks everyone for coming out.
The Bloc Québécois.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks guys for coming out. This is going to be lots of fun. We just launched Telos Culture. Well, technically we've kind of been sneakily on the mainnet for maybe 3 or 4 weeks. But we just sort of, started pushing out our materials on our social medias and everything like that this week. And we've really been excited by the response that we've gotten from the community so far. For those who don't know, Telos Culture, it's a partnership between my company and Thomas's company, Corduroy Earth, and Brian Say from the Discussions community. Really what we're trying to do here is, be that kind of human element between the tech and the people that make up the Telos ecosystem. And really, we just want to capture the culture of Telos. And so we have a lot of fun things planned. Lots of events like this, AMAs with different projects on the network, games, NFT stuff that we have planned down the line. And the long-term goal is to start growing awareness for Telos on platforms like this, but then to bring it over to decentralized tech as well. And especially, the discussions community, and look at ways that we can grow awareness for the tech and sort of gamify that side of things. So it's going to be lots of fun.
It's a very exciting spread of events and all kinds of engaging activities that are going to make this kind of one of the fun BPs out there.
Definitely. So. Yeah. And so thanks everybody for coming out. We're going to run these events every Friday, every Monday. They're going to be quick, short, and snappy. We're just going to go through some news and the latest stuff that's happening on the ecosystem. If you ever hear any news, feel free to hit up Thomas or me in Telegram. Join our Telos Culture channel on Telegram at Telos Culture. And, keep us in the loop so we can keep you in the loop. There's so much happening right now, eh?
Oh, there most definitely is. And actually, this is, I'll just drop a link in here to join our Telos Culture community chat, where you can, as Liam said, jump in and if you've got a news tip to send our way for our Telos Buzz, because this show, remember, is all about what is like the latest news that's going on in the Telos ecosystem, because there's a lot of stuff that goes on.
Yeah,
every week all this news just keeps
gotten crazy.
Really exciting stuff that keeps pumping up, including some big news that just dropped this morning. Which we'll get to in a little bit. So, actually, do you want to kick off into our news section, or anything else?
We should jump right in. I mean, last thing I guess is just subscribe. Hit the bell notification, the little bell icon there, so you get notified when we go live, and stay in the loop. Like I say, Mondays and Fridays at 4 p.m. UTC, we'll be live with the Telos News, and on Fridays we're gonna have a special guest joining us. Today, it's none other than the man, the myth, the legend, the big Gooey. Who's going to come on at the very end to tell us a little bit about what he's up to.
Yeah, very exciting for that.
Yeah, I think we should jump in. We've also got our custom made, we got to shout our Telos pins here, made by our wonderful COO at Corduroy Earth, Jenna Bjornsson. Shout out to Jenna for these handmade Telos pins. We love them. But let's jump in. We got some news, lots of stuff that's happening. I think one of the most notable things first is that the Ignite Hackathon wrapped up, right? Lots of cool projects there, eh?
Oh, most definitely. Have you checked out any of the projects yourself?
To be honest, I'm trying to remember what the full list was, because there was a bunch of ones that were coming out. What were the notable ones on your end that you saw?
Well, let's take a look here. Let's. What were some of the big ones? Let's see here.
Because I was noticing today that there's a bunch of strategic investments that are coming out. So we had a strategic investment that came out in Kite, and then a strategic investment in Chainport that was also announced. Both of those can be found on the Telos Foundation's Medium channel, right? So a lot of projects and stuff have started to take notice through us. But you got the list up here of projects. Minted Vodka, right? That was a really big one that took part in it. That was super cool. And then we had the Shield ecosystem, Refunds, SquirrelFi, Tatya's NFTs, Telos name service, right? Lots of really cool projects that came through here. And Telos Task. I want to talk about Telos Task in a moment because I had a great call with them about a week ago, and I know they've got lots of stuff planned in the coming weeks. I can't really, I don't know what we can talk about in terms of what they have going on there. Bikechain.app, that was another one that took part in the hackathon. So lots of cool projects that went through the hackathon. And I think another cool thing about it is that it happened on the Taikai network, right? Which is a network that's built on Telos.
Yeah.
So super fun. What else do you have there, though? Let's go off the hackathon side thing because there's lots of stuff happening right now.
Most definitely, yeah. So definitely one of the big things we saw this week was, or in the last couple of weeks, has been a partnership with Byte.io, an NFT platform. Yeah, I think that's going to definitely. It sounds like it's going to be one of the homes of lots of cool Telos NFT projects. We should ask Big Gooey when he gets on about how he thinks Byte is going to fuel the space and all the creative energy going on there. But
yeah, and I think the exciting thing too about that is that it's kind of what we predicted to happen with once the Telos EVM launches, right? Because now we have that support for the ERC 721 standard, which is the most popular NFT standard. We're going to start to see these different NFT ecosystems launching and more artists porting over to the community, which I think is super exciting. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring on Gooey for this first episode, is because NFTs really create the culture of Web3, and so I'm excited for that. On that note, too, going back to the Marble standard, we had was it the what was it called? The Azure Block Explorer, right? Just added Marble standard NFT support.
Yes, they did.
That was in the Area X channels I saw earlier, so that's super cool as well.
Yeah, and that's developed by Persian Telos. So when you're going and casting your vote, make sure you add them on. As well as you're adding on Telos Culture, hopefully, too. Support all the work that they're doing to build the Telos ecosystem. They're doing some great work. There's been a lot of also really cool NFT projects that we've been checking an eye on. One of the ones that you may not have heard of is this is kind of an offshoot, sort of the Phantoms of the Metaverse, which is a really cool project that is, I think as of now, like either the number 2 or the number 3 top selling NFT creator on Area X. Someone in the group created a Phantoms of the Musicverse mini project.
You got the last one.
I did actually
jealous.
Get the last one. So it's they're special NFTs, and you get your name in the credit on this music video that is going to feature a bunch of the Phantoms of the Metaverse, which is a really cool utility and cross with music and art, which I know is something you're really passionate about. Liam.
Yeah, well, what I like about the Phantoms of the Musicverse and Metaverse too is that they're kind of like there's it's such a power project. Like, it's very sneaky. It is like a Phantom kind of group, because I feel like not too many people are aware of them, but their community is super strong when you're in that Telegram group and really support it. And they sell out like that too, right? So if you aren't aware of Phantoms of the Metaverse, Musicverse as well, check them out and try and find them. But I think it shouldn't be too bad to track them down. And it's a really cool project. What else do we have here? Area X's Metaverse. That's also pretty cool. They just that's kind of old news. I think that's a couple weeks old now, but I was just in it this week and it looks amazing. They've got a like a Metaverse art gallery where you can go through, pick a collection and kind of stroll through your favorite artist's collection in this Metaverse gallery. And they actually, I'm glad that news is out now, because I kind of got word of that through Persia Telos, I think a couple months back or so. And they were ahead of the curve, right? Like, as soon as the Metaverse hype was coming, they were starting to build that. So we've got to give them props for that, I think, and getting that out there.
Most definitely. Yeah. In other Metaverse news, a really actually cool event that, Liam, I know you were at. I wasn't able to check this out. Was Apix hosted a live Metaverse event to celebrate the launch of their app on it was Decentraland that it was on, wasn't it?
Yeah, they went. No, it was Decentraland. Yeah, that was lots of fun.
Tell us a little bit about what it was like to join in on that.
Yeah, that was great. Apix partnered with the Decentraland team, and they had like a plot of land on there. And as soon as the app finally went live on the App Store, right, which was huge news, they hosted this party. So they had some Twitter Spaces events that I was involved in, and then you could go to Decentraland to this like Apix building, and there was like 3 levels to it. There was like an NFT art gallery. And places to sort of take pictures, and then like a dance floor at the top with DJs, and the DJs went all day, and they were like pretty known DJs too, which was super cool. And it was great. Everyone was there dancing. We had all these people from all around the world in the Telos and Apix community coming and just hanging out and celebrating Apix being live. So
I really wish I had been there for that. I actually recently got back from I took a trip to Germany, to Berlin. One of the things I didn't get to do was to go to like a club or a rave or dance or something like that. Berlin is known for. But a lot of the DJs that were there were like they were prominent German DJs, so I could have gotten my my German wave experience, but I missed out. So
next time,
next event, I'll definitely be there. But it's cool to see all these projects built on Telos that are working in the metaverse and making events that people can actually tune into and go out to. And Apix themselves is a really incredible project as well.
Yeah, the Apix app in general, if you haven't checked it out, is just so amazing. The UI is perfect. Their community is growing like huge. I think they have I think they're like at like 5,000 users or something like that, and growing steadily, right? Like I think like a month ago they were at 3,000. So it's pretty crazy growth that they're seeing. And if you go on DApp Radar, they're the most like transactions or most used application on the Telos network as well. So that platform is taking off and bringing a ton of people in the Telos ecosystem as well, which is super cool to see. So just tons of fun stuff happening. I got to shout out our boy Jesus in the comments here. He's saying, love it, feels like a podcast, because the Fortis project had some news coming out as well too, right? They pushed out a newsletter earlier this week. And in that, they were hinting at their staking platform coming out soon, and a new website and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting. Fortis is just one of those projects that's been around for a while on the Telos ecosystem, and they've been building a lot of cool stuff, and all the work that they've been doing is it's happening now. Like the staking platform seems like it's very close to launching, so it's definitely and that first round of sales they had on T-Starter were very, very well received. So great project to keep an eye on.
It's really cool to see all that growth, right? In just a few months, to go from, I think they had their ICO went live in like November or something like that, and raised I think like 250 Telos roughly, and then from there to now they've already got their first utility out for the token coming out soon. So that's super cool. I think we should really get to bringing in Gooey in a second, because I'm super excited to have him here. But before we do, I'm going to rifle through a couple other pieces of news. Then we've got one really big piece of news to touch on, and then we'll bring in Gooey. Haifa DAO, they're doing a fundraising initiative right now for their platform. Really cool project in the DAO space right now. It's just blowing up. So go to haifa.earth and check that out. What else do I have here on my
And they're related to the Seeds Seed project, right?
Haifa was the DAO that launched the Seeds protocol. And now the Seeds protocol is really supported by a bunch of different DAOs. So that's really cool to see. But they are kind of the masterminds behind, like, at least the initial tech of it. So and sort of the concept of the economics. So
I know you're a big Seeds stan.
I love Seeds. I think they're
I won't get you started on
underrated projects on Telos. They're just like used by so many communities all over the world. I think really showing just like how Web3 can be used to create these like subcultures and new kind of economic systems. So don't get me started on that. It's a rabbit hole.
I already did a little bit.
Go check out Seeds. Very cool.
I always love hearing about Seeds, so you can tell me about Seeds anytime.
KuCoin, deposit and withdrawals are live on EVM, which is great because there's a bit of a process, I know, for that to happen on the TF side. So shout out to them for making that happen, and shout out to the KuCoin team for collaborating on that. I think that's all I have here in terms of immediate news. But now we got to talk really quickly about this big news that just came out on the announcements channel, and that is the kind of partnership between Telos, Wax, US, and the UX network. Yeah, that's super exciting. Do you have anything to say on that side, or do you want me to jump in?
Yeah, well, just going through this announcement in this is on the Telos announcement channels, and it just dropped maybe about an hour ago. So go and check it out for some more information. It looks like so all those chains based on the EOSIO code, and there's all these different organizations are putting in some funds to make sure that the code is being worked on and improved and made secure. So, well, like just continually building on the EOSIO code base. So it's definitely an exciting announcement for Telos. Liam, why don't you tell us a little bit about what that means in your
Yeah,
mind for the
well,
Telos ecosystem?
for those who aren't sort of familiar, I guess, with kind of the history on it, right? There's a difference between EOS, the network, and EOSIO, the protocol, which Telos is built on, and it's super powerful, right? Based in C++, and that was supported for a long time by the Block One organization, I believe. I could be wrong on sort of my EOS trivia here, but recently, they stopped supporting it, and so it's been up to kind of the chains to kind of autonomously figure out how they're going to continue growing that code base. And so what's kind of formed now is almost kind of like a DAO, you could call it, with different leaders from each of these ecosystems coming together and putting forward funds to continue the development, not just funds but resources as well. And it's a bigger collaboration there too, right? There's collaborations with other networks that use the code base as well, but these four, to my understanding, are the ones that are putting forward some resources and funds, which means they get sort of a voice in this sort of DAO that's forming, and how what sort of items that are coming out that they're going to prioritize in the future development of it. So I think that's really cool to see, just this collaboration between these networks, and us coming together and saying, this is super important to us. We might have our differences between chains and stuff like that, but we're all here to kind of pursue what the EOSIO protocol was meant to do, and carry that mission forward. So
and now we've seen that Telos is like a seat at that table.
Yeah, and that's the coolest thing of all, too, right? Is that Telos is right there with these other networks, kind of leading the charge. I saw some really great recordings of some of their meetings that are live on YouTube somewhere. I can't remember where they're at, but somebody was recording the early meetings that they had there, and they're up on YouTube. And Douglas is there, kind of leading the charge on it. So that's great to see.
Yeah. Speaking of leading the charge, we got to bring on one of our
Gooey.
very special guests. Yeah, who is absolutely on the forefront of NFTs on Telos, as well as a brand new paradigm for NFTs, SocialFi. So you know him, you love him. Let's bring on our guest, the Big Gooey. Here he is, everybody. Welcome, Gooey.
There he's.
How you doing, boys?
A Telos exclusive, kind of. We've got Gooey live on camera.
That's right, man. I thought I'd do it for the culture, and when the two most handsome fellas on Telos start BP, and you do whatever they say.
You're too kind, Gooey. It's so fun to have you here, and we really do appreciate you coming on like this for the show too. Is this your first live event that you've done where you're kind of streaming on camera?
Yeah, I guess so. I've kind of been thinking about obviously I want to be out in the environment kind of like this, because I think there's some unorthodox ways Telos can get some attention, as well as kind of using a bit of the music industry knowledge that I've gleaned in my past. So I really want to have fun in all aspects of my job here as a curator, and this is just another piece of that. So.
So tell us a little bit about your recent appointment as the NFT curator for Telos. That was some pretty decent news that came out very recently, and we'd love to hear directly from you.
I guess this is kind of the perfect way to end my first week in the position, and I think that it just really speaks to how much foresight Telos has when they say they want to be a player in any given space. I've been grinding on the network, doing my art since the donut days. And I think just kind of shown that I really see this as a long-term project. There's a lot of energy that can be harnessed and used here on Telos. So, I just kind of cold called Paul. I think Liam, you hooked me up with his number and just said, yo, I think you guys kind of need somebody on deck doing NFTs. And he took the call right away, which I was so stoked on. He's such a wonderful guy. But then just like, developing and talking about why that was important to me and how I thought about it on the chain. And finally he was like, yeah, like this totally makes sense. And just to have somebody at the seat of marketing that has kind of direction that's on the forefront is great. And I think it shows a lot about kind of what Telos is about as well.
Definitely. Yeah, and you got to shout out Paul for that, right? He's been really great at, I think, just cultivating that, like coming in, understanding what Telos is about and figuring out how to, give key community members and contributors sort of the resources they need to continue growing the mission of Telos, right? So I was
Well,
so excited to hear about your involvement there.
and I'm sure you guys can probably speak to this too, as being young bucks. Is it's nice to be in an industry now where kind of younger people are what's driving the innovation in the space.
Mhm.
And I've worked as an electrician, I've worked as a baker, I've worked as so many other jobs in my life, and I've wanted to excel. But this was kind of the first time that I feel like I really put the hard work in, and it's nice to see a community that wants to bring in the younger generation's perspective. And I mean, look at Telos Culture. Y'all are a perfect example of um, doing something that the chain needs, bringing value to it, but you've got such a unique perspective, a unique voice, and they saw that the young people want to be part of this, and in meaningful ways, not just as token seats on a board or anything. So I think the fact that they're willing to embrace and really tend to the talent that's up and coming, like why not do that here? Like you're not going to get that treatment on any other blockchain like Ethereum or Solana or that at the moment. On top of it being a robust network, right? Like it's uh, it's tough to like not be out there being a total fanboy all the time
Yeah.
for the chain because I love it. But I think there's just so many enticing incentives coming up for creating on the network that's
Mhm.
I think going to attract that youthful energy that we're really seeing come out of the woodworks now.
Yeah, and that energy is such I think a vital part to growing this ecosystem, growing Web3, growing crypto in really exciting ways.
Mhm.
And we've seen a lot of that in recent weeks in some up and coming NFT projects. What are some projects that have been on your radar that people should definitely check out that are coming
Oh
up on
boy,
Telos?
uh,
Give us the Gooey recommendation.
it's a laundry list at this point. We've seen so much come up. So obviously we've got Squirrels, we got Apish. They're doing a great project. We got Phantoms of the Metaverse, like you said, Duke, my boy. That's probably my favorite one up to this point, just because I'm such a sucker for the pixel art. We got Crocos coming on deck. We got, oh man, I know I'm gonna miss some here, so please forgive me if I do. Um, I saw Telos Pandas is coming up. We've got uh, Golden Geese. Like it's a really wild time to be here in the saddle for the market. And I've really been trying to. I've been working closely with Kirsten from the TCD about hosting roundtables on Twitter where we invite artists who have either launched or are going to launch, so that we're all kind of in a room talking and not siloed out in any I hate the idea of people working on projects and not knowing who else is in the sandbox with them. So
Mm.
I really see a big part of my role as the curator as kind of facilitating relationships across projects. As partnerships come through the door, I can better match them when I understand what the projects are doing. And I think just kind of someone keeping an eye on how the market is growing in a kind of a bigger capacity, right? Because there's really wonderful projects in and of their own right. But I think I see a way forward here to really start connecting them, so we're all moving as this kind of wave rather than kind of eating ourselves alive, like I see on a few other markets. So
Yeah,
Totally.
anything you can do that to build that community and help artists support each other is absolutely so important. So
mhm.
shout out to the work that you're doing on that.
What's it? I'm curious. Like, what makes a project stand out to you too? Because you've seen a lot now in the Telos ecosystem, and I mean, you're so
Yeah,
great and supportive of everything. But if there was some pieces of advice to people, make their project really stand out and take it to the next level, what would you say?
I think I'm always trying to think about like obviously derivatives are a big thing in the space, and with I'm chief among them with punks. So I think that just try and come at everything you're doing honestly. I mean, in the art, that's kind of my foray, is that really comes through, I think, whether you've just slapped something together or whether you really care about the art in the process of working with a computer and doing generative stuff. And don't be afraid to take chances, because I think we're still pretty new. And like, I'm definitely like, if somebody took a chance and it didn't succeed, I'm so much more into the idea of, well, I think there's a lot of templates out there that work, and I think we need on Telos. But the next step is pushing the envelope on what we're trying to execute here. I'm trying to do that a little bit with my SocialFi piece with Punks, but I think that there's going to be, like you guys were kind of speaking to the Ignite hackathon, and like somebody brought like a full working metaverse to that contest, right? So it's like a metaverse built on Telos already could be possible. So I think that it's just going to be an explosive year.
Yeah.
I think that now that it's kind of my full-time job to ensure the health and growth of this ecosystem, I just love it. I couldn't imagine a better job.
That's awesome.
Truthfully, and now that you mentioned Telos Punks, we won't ask you when Telos Punks, because
when
we know that you guys are working so hard to make this happen. But I do have another question. What is your most and least favorite DMs that people have sent to you regarding Telos Punks?
Oh man,
we're going for the tea now.
Okay, well, I'm gonna start from the bottom up. I mean, I guess it's all prefaced with it comes with the territory, right? And everybody's got their 2 cents. So I think what's been really important here is to think about when somebody DMs me and says, "Yo, your price is too high," and that's it, or they say lower it.
Value your work less, maybe.
Well, I mean, I'm just not into hostage situations that much in any facet of my life. But I think what's frustrating for me and gets lost in the process is like people think that because we haven't implicated exactly what they've asked for, we haven't listened. It's like we've been listening to the community and taking in all points of view, but just because we're not executing what it is you've asked for doesn't mean we don't have other pieces that we're considering or able to like fully convey the value that we've got here until it's in your hands. So I mean, there's that. But then on the other side, when certain people roll through and do their fuddy thing, it's so nice to have people text you or DM you and say, look, I know some people don't think this is going to work, but like I'm here for the ride, right? And I think just to have people that believe in you, when I believe in myself and what I'm doing, but it's definitely like the cherry on top when somebody's like, yo, I see what you're doing. So those are the ones I really like try to embrace, because I think it's what's keeping me going sometimes, right? Because it's definitely more of a marathon than a sprint to release a collection. So which I've learned. But I mean, you just got to lean on the community that you're creating the whole way, right? Because they're the ones who are going to be your core contingent and carry the project from here all the way to the end, if there is an end. But also, they're there because they want to support you too. So I think it's fun to have that reciprocal relationship with your community of, there's times when I elicit advice or help or even just drop in to hang out. Like the people in Punk's community, I have really meaningful and dear relationships because of it. So that's kind of a long answer for that.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. Once you get a community there, it really makes it worthwhile, right? And something I've learned too, just across kind of the spectrum with any communities, is there's always going to be fudders kind of there, and that's kind of a good thing too, right? Like criticism is good, both in like development and in the arts, obviously too, right? You want that to kind of hear it and grow from it. But I mean, beyond that too, and I think people are being unreasonable. When you've got that community supporting you, you almost don't have to deal with that so much, because the community comes in and is like, no, listen, like, this is what's going on. Like we really believe in this project and support this team. And that's really cool to see, I think. And that's where things really get kicked up a notch.
Well, and I think it's just going to be like, I want the Punks community to be indicative of how I'm trying to shape the broader community with Telos, right? I want to be very approachable. I want to be very grassroots in how we're building the community. And I think that like I've got other projects. I mean, I've kind of lost count at this point, but I think I've probably got about 3 other projects coming in right behind Punks
Nice.
for the rest of the year. So I think the energy that's built in those communities hopefully funnels, and we're good to go.
That's great. Well, I think that's a really good point to wrap up too, because I mean, it leaves us on a really interesting note too of being curious about what these other projects are, and looking forward to hearing more about it. Where can people learn more about you and stay in the loop with everything you're doing? Where should we send people after this?
Best places to go right now is Twitter at the Big Gooey.
Nice.
Tweet me out there, and yeah, that's the best place to find me.
Rest in peace, Dune Spice Latte, eh?
That's right.
Big Gooey now. This is great. So guys, go follow the Big Gooey. Thanks for coming out too. Thanks to the community. We're just getting started here, but things are already really strong, and we're loving the support that we're seeing. So be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification, follow us on Twitter, Telegram at Telos Culture. Head to telosculture.com to learn more about our mission, and consider voting for us as a VP on the Telos mainnet. We'd really appreciate your support.
Boys.
It's the best way to kind of support us in this mission. We'll see you in the community channels. Head over to the Telegram, and let's keep our conversation going and keep the good vibes flowing.
Yeah, thanks so much, Gooey, for joining us.
Thank you, Gooey. Seriously,
from
this
Telos
is
Culture to
wonderful.
you, we are huge supporters of your work, and we're so excited to see what you continue to bring every day to the community, to Telos, and to all your fellow NFT creators. So keep on doing the work you're doing.
Thanks so much for having me, boys.
All right,
Take it easy, everyone.
Bye.
Take care, guys.
What do I do? So I separated those two. Uses one and then grabs this one.